Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the Countdown to Curiosity Landing NASA social event here at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Thank you for joining us. In addition to the people we have here, we are trying something new today. This is our first nationwide social. We have people at 6 other NASA centers around the nation joining us today who will interact with our panelists. We have with us today watching the Ames Research Center in Silicon Valley, California, Glenn Research Center in Cleveland, the Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland, Johnson Space Center in Houston, the Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral, Florida, and the Langley Research Center in Virginia. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, we've got a great 2 hours planned for you. We're going to start off immediately. I want to introduce someone special here at JPL. He is not only a scientist, but also an engineer and also our leader. He is the JPL director, Dr. Charles Alachi.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mars. Sorry, I'm in JPL. We are very fortunate today. We have the 2 head people at NASA who are going to be welcoming you, Charlie Bolden and Lori Garver. Charlie, who's physically not here, is going to welcome you via video. So if we can roll the video.
Welcome to the Mars Science Laboratory NASA Social.
Dr. Alachi over 3 years ago, and we have been all weekend. We have lots of great events planned, and I just want to wish the JPL family, the NASA family, Godspeed and good luck, and thank you.
Thank you, Lori. And I want to take this opportunity to both thank Charlie Bolden and Lori Garver for their leadership and really the support that they have provided the team, JPL, or the NASA centers who have really worked on this mission. Now, on Sunday evening, I would suggest people on the West Coast at 9:15 p.m. you go out and you look toward the west, and you are going to see Saturn, and next to it you will see Mars. And just think to yourself that we have a car-sized rover which is heading toward that planet and is going to be landing on it about an hour later. And to really show you what NASA is doing, at 9:16 the space station will be rising very close to it. So you'll be seeing both what we're doing on Mars and what we're doing in Earth's orbit. When you think about it, that's absolutely amazing. You know, what has been accomplished and what's being, accomplished at this time. And that really represent what our agency does. If I paraphrase Teddy Roosevelt and John Kennedy, we do mighty things at this agency, and we do them because they are hard, not because they are easy. And this is the American spirit. This is the spirit working with our partners from all across the world who are working with us, on exploring and gaining new knowledge. And basically, for the future of particularly this room are the young people who are going to be the next generation of leaders who are going to be leading our agency and our country, in exploration. Let me give you a couple of things to give you an illustration when I say these are mighty things that we're doing. When we land on Mars after 400 million, miles of travel, and we're landing in that little ellipse, that's about the same as if you are launching from Cape Kennedy and you are landing at the Rose Bowl, and you want to land in a specific seat at the Rose Bowl. That's how accurate we're doing, the landing. The other one to illustrate to you is a challenge. When we enter the atmosphere on Mars, at 9:14 or 9:15, at 10:14 or 10:15 on Sunday evening, we're coming at a speed of 13,000 miles per hour. That means you can go from here to Washington less than 10 minutes. I'm sure Lori would love that. That would save her a lot of time if she can do that. So to give you an illustration, what does that mean from amount of energy? That's the equivalent of 18,000 Indy 500 race cars coming at the highest speed that they can go. That's about how much energy you are entering the atmosphere. And in 7 minutes, we have to land softly on the surface. So just imagine the challenge that the team has been facing in figuring out a way, how do you take that 18,000 car of energy and basically reducing it to a soft landing on the surface. So we had to do, as you know, the heat shields, parachute, retro rockets, sky crane. So we'll be sitting down nervous, no question about it. I mean, this mission is probably the best analyzed and best studied and best tested, mission. But still, we're nervous. When they are exploring new world, the same way every explorer that have done in the past, be it Captain Cook or any of the explorers that have explored new worlds, every day they were facing with a big challenge. Every day they were nervous, but they still wanted to explore, and they were able to do that. And that's a tradition that we have gotten here in really pushing the limit and exploring. So with this, I want to thank all of you on being.
Like 9 followers. I'm hoping now I'll get up to 10. Okay, what I want to do is just take a couple minutes and talk to you about sort of what's coming and what you're going to be experiencing over the next few days, and just really fast sort of hit it. First fundamental message, and you're going to hear this theme over and over, and you've got a lot of stuff that's going to be going on later on this afternoon. We'll get into a lot more detail, but I just want to give you a little bit of a preview. First fundamental message that you're going to hear is the difficulty associated with what we're trying to accomplish right now is sort of off the scale of what a lot of us have ever experienced before. This is actually my 6th Mars landing, and as I look back in the history and the ones I've been sitting around for, I can actually remember sitting right over there about 8.5 years ago when Spirit and Opportunity were landing, and I remember how nervous I was then during the process. And that's sort of like this much, and for Curiosity, it's sort of like this much. Mars is really hard. Getting to Mars is...
So, bear with me. Curiosity is an everlasting flame that burns in everyone's mind. It makes me get out of bed in the morning and wonder what surprises life will throw at me that day. Curiosity is such a powerful force. Without it, we wouldn't be who we are today. When I was younger, I wondered, why is the sky blue? Why do the stars twinkle? Why am I me? And I still do. I had so many questions, and this is the place where I want to find my answers. Curiosity is the passion that drives us through our everyday lives. We have become explorers and scientists with our needs to ask questions and to wonder. Sure, there are many risks and dangers, but despite that, we still continue to wonder and dream and create and hope. We have discovered so much about the world, but still so little. We will never know everything there is to know, but with our burning curiosity, we've already learned so much.
Now, as a result of writing the winning essay and proposing the winning name, you got to go to launch, and now you're here for landing. And in between, you came for a very special visit to JPL a couple of years ago. Why don't you tell everyone what you got to do at that time?
I actually got to come to JPL when I was about 12 years old to sign the rover when it was being built in the clean room. And I had to wear this white bunny suit. And that was my sister's favorite part, I think. But we had 30 minutes before and after where we would be in this room like with air coming out and to get ourselves clean and not bring any germs or anything into the room. It was a great experience.
All right, I'm going to take a couple questions in the room. If anyone here has a question for Clara, we've got one over here. Go ahead.
Well, that was a great essay, and I'm wondering if winning it and naming curiosity has made you more curious about science and space in general.
It definitely has. I mean, I was already curious when I was little. I asked a lot of questions, but getting to be here, it's so much more real to me, and it makes me wonder even more what's out there and what I could be doing possibly.
Okay, one more question from inside the room if anyone has a question. Okay, we've got one question right here.
Do you think you're going to inspire people your own age, or are you hoping through your school to be able to bring more people into the information and about Mars?
Yeah, I definitely hope to. I mean, you guys are already doing so much. Thank you so much for tweeting and Facebooking and trying to keep your friends and family and followers informed, and I hope I can do the same thing. I mean, I have a Twitter and a Facebook too, so I know what you guys are doing. But it's such an honor for me to be standing up here talking to you guys, along with so many important and amazing people at NASA and JPL. And they inspire me as well to inspire other people, and that's certainly something that I hope I can do.
All right, thank you so much. And I remember a couple of months ago I heard a scream from down the hall and someone said, "Clara Ma is following Mars Curiosity now." So of course we immediately followed back from the rover.
I'm so excited to see you following me. I screamed.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today, and she'll be here throughout the weekend, and she'll be watching the landing as well. And probably, maybe even possibly with us that Sunday night, we'll find out. All right, thank you so much. We have now Mr. Doug Ellison. He has a new wonderful product to show you for not only people here in the room, people at the other centers, but everybody to use on landing night to really follow exactly through the entry, descent, and landing process. So Doug, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Yesterday during the press briefing about the engineering, we first showed this to the general public, and we had about 990-something concurrent users via Google Analytics. I want you guys to break that and see if we can get 1,000 concurrent users after this little demo. Who amongst you have actually used Eyes on the Solar System in the past? Brief show of hands. Of course, Benjamin has. Okay, great. About half. Okay, so what Eyes on the Solar System does is put the planets, the moons, asteroids, comets, and a whole bunch of the spacecraft that have been exploring them all the way from 1950 to 2050, right inside your computer at home, on your laptop or your PC or Mac, whatever, any reasonably modern computer. And we've been live now for just under 2 years, and we've done many, many missions. We were live with Stardust Next, with Epoxy, with Grail, with Messenger, things like that. But for Curiosity, thanks to amazing help from the navigation and engineering teams, we've had some amazing trajectory data they've given us. It's a simulation of exactly what Curiosity is going to be doing between now and 10:31 on Sunday evening. And what we're looking at right now on the screen, if we can go to the live video, is a live view where Curiosity should be right now. As Stephanie mentioned earlier on this morning, we've just crossed the 500,000 mile mark to Mars. In about an hour or so, Mars will appear exactly the same size as Curiosity. We are getting awfully close. Mars is getting bigger. Now Mars is much bigger in the window. And you can see the landing site right on the edge of the limb of Mars right here. Here's the cruise stage, here's the entry capsule. And I'm going to fast forward through time to something kind of a little bit more exciting. Let's see the cruise stage go away. There it goes. Let's fast forward. I make our 7 minutes of terror much, much shorter. I think maybe it gets more terrifying. And you can see the countdowns on the right-hand side as the different events occur. Here comes the parachute, one of my favorite parts, because the parachute gives this thing an enormous jolt. And you can see the whole stack kind of wobbling around as the kind of the dynamics of pulling 9+ G under a supersonic Martian parachute. Let's go ever so slightly further. And there goes the heat shield. I'm now going to pause the action and stop. And now we can have a look around. Let's go and look at the heat shield. Here it is. Some of the engineering panel will be telling you all about the heat shield. I'm sure you can see the medley suite of instruments on the inside of the heat shield. Let's go back to the rover. It's right there. And then behind us, you can see the Earth, and you can see Mars Express. This doesn't live in isolation. This lives inside a simulation of the entire solar system. And so there's Mars Express, which will be listening to Curiosity during landing. There's Mars Odyssey. They'll be hopefully giving us a real-time telemetry on the way down the hill. And here's the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter that about this time, we hope it's going to be taking a picture of what Curiosity looks like. And here it is above Mars, pointing straight down towards Curiosity. I hit go back to Curiosity, we fly straight back into where the rover is. And I'm going to fast forward just a little bit more until we get to a really, really exciting part. Back shell separation. Of the 7 minutes of terror, this is my most terrifying moment, I think. The free fall as we drop out of the back shell. I'm not going to play it all the way to the end. I don't want to spoil the surprise for you. It is very... So give it a try at home, eyes.nasa.gov, and you can ride all the way to
Smith. I'm a social media specialist here at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It is my honor to introduce our Curiosity Science panel. Now, for any mission, the science goals dictate the instrument payload. So, our panelists today are going to tell us, why is Curiosity a robot chemist, toting everything from cameras to a geology lab to a rock vaporizing laser? So first on our panel is Ashwin Vasavada of JPL. He's the MSL Deputy Project Scientist. Next up on the panel is Pan Conrad of Goddard Space Flight Center, Deputy Principal Investigator for the sample investigator of the Mars Hand Lens Imager, or MOLLE instrument. So they'll tell us a little bit more about their roles on the mission, and we'll open things up for questions after that. So Ashwin, go ahead and blind us with some science.
All right, good to see everybody. Thanks so much for your interest and support of this mission. It's so exciting.
One of the 17 eyes on this rover. It's really awesome. And we will, as Pan said, we are going to look at the textures. We're going to look at them like this, and we're going to say,
from here in the house, as well as at the 6 other NASA centers who are connected with us. So,
just going to develop as you find information as you go. I hope that made sense.
Sure. I'll take one part of it, which is maybe the more operational point of view, and then you can comment maybe on the scientific. It is true that this is the most complex spacecraft that JPL has ever built, and one of the more complex that NASA has ever built. And so we're going to take our sweet time learning how to use this thing on the surface of Mars. We want to do things carefully because this is at least a 2-year mission, maybe 10 if we're lucky. And we want to not screw up, really. So the first few days after landing are really dedicated. In fact, the first few weeks after landing are dedicated to slowly checking out the rover and its instruments. We try to get some pictures right away to satisfy all of our curiosity. So right at landing, either right at landing or within 24 hours after landing, we expect some images from our hazard cameras. These are black and white cameras. We take those pictures right after landing. When we get them back, maybe immediately to a day after. Then we slowly start doing other things. One of the first science instruments we use is Ken's camera, Molly. It's on the arm, stowed still on the rover, but we can open up its cover and look out to the side and take a picture of whatever landscape happens to be in that direction. So that's going to be super exciting. We also take some measurements with our meteorology and radiation instruments pretty quickly after we get down on the surface within the first few days. So the science will, like you said, just slowly unfold over time. By the time we get to deploying the arm and taking a sample of soil, it may be about a month or 2 into the mission. And then eventually we'll make our way over to the mound in Mount Sharp and Gale Crater and start climbing up. And that'll be over the first 6 months to a year of the mission.
But we have not sat here and waited to see what we're going to do first. We have been poring over that ellipse. We have looked at a bazillion details in the landing ellipse so that when we come down, we'll get a handle on where we're sitting and then be able to start doing the science based upon what nature. Sensing photos. From the so Johnson, go ahead with your question.
Hi, my name is Gloria Lloyd, and I wanted to thank NASA for giving us this opportunity. And I also wanted to ask, what mechanisms does Curiosity have in place if it lands upside down or on its side, or it's going to be traveling through a mountainous area? What if it flips over? What have you planned for that?
Good questions, Gloria. Now, we don't really want to land upside down or on the side. The honest answer is there are certain things that we all worry about that could go wrong. It's driving, and if it feels like it's getting in trouble, it'll stop. It also, or if it feels its wheels are slipping, for example, it will immediately stop and phone home and wait for us to tell it what to do. It also has these engineering cameras, the hazard cameras I mentioned, as well as 2 more called navigation cameras, which are constantly taking 3-dimensional maps of the surface as it drives. That's all done automatically on board, and it can create a map in its own brain of the hazards in front of it and know how to avoid or stop moving if it senses any of those hazards.
I was going to say, if you take a look online at the diagram of the rover, you'll notice the way the wheels are held together on the body of the rover. It's such a clever design that if you lift up one wheel, you've still got a bunch of other wheels touching the ground. It's got a huge ground clearance, and it's able to go.
It's a better suspension and more ground clearance than any car you can buy on the market.
You can see the wheel there, that black thing.
Yeah.
It's monstrous.
We can drive over things, actually, just about the size of this table. And one wheel at a time, we'll just go over it. And, you know, we tend to want to avoid driving over things like that. But if we had to, we could drive over something about this tall.
All right, our next question waiting on the line is out in Greenbelt, Maryland. We're going to go over to Goddard Space Flight Center. Goddard, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lauren Tucker-Cross. I go Lorna Lloyd on Twitter. And I want to ask, what is the most exciting, first exciting thing of the science that you'll be looking at? The first thing that you will see in the testing that'll make you go, woohoo!
Landing and getting the beep is the... You know what? This landing ellipse, where we're going to actually set down, has so much interesting science. We've been going woohoo. The chemistry changes just proximal to the surface on Earth, and the chemistry changes just proximal to the surface on Mars. We know that from the photos we got from the Viking experiments in the mid-70s. So this power supply is game-changing.
And with that, we've got to wrap our science panel. So how about a big round of applause for our science panelists, Ashwin, Pan, and Ken. Thanks very much. Now then, next up, it's the summer's hottest movie trailer, my favorite coming attraction. It's the story of entry, descent, and landing we like to call the 7 Minutes of Terror. So let's turn up the volume and hang on tight. Let's roll the tape.
When people look at it, it looks crazy. That's a very natural thing. Sometimes when we look at it, it looks crazy. It is the result of reasoned engineering thought, but it still looks crazy. From the top of the atmosphere down to the surface, it takes us 7 minutes. It takes 14 minutes or so for the signal from the spacecraft to make it to Earth.
entry, descent, and landing, also known as EDL, is referred to as the 7 minutes of terror, because we've got literally 7 minutes to get from the top of the atmosphere to the surface of Mars, going from 13,000 miles an hour to 0 in perfect sequence, perfect choreography, perfect timing, and the computer has to do it all by itself with no help from the ground. If any one thing doesn't work just right, it's game over.
We slam into the atmosphere and develop so much aerodynamic drag, our heat shield. It heats up and it glows like the surface of the sun. 1,600 degrees.
During entry, the vehicle is not only slowing down violently through the atmosphere, but also we are guiding it like an airplane to be able to land in a very narrow, constrained space. This is one of the biggest challenges that we're facing, and one that we had never attempted on Mars.
Mars is actually really hard to slow down because it has just enough atmosphere that you have to deal with, otherwise it will destroy your spacecraft. On the other hand, it doesn't have enough atmosphere to finish the job. We're still going about 1,000 miles an hour, so at that point we need the parachute.
The parachute is the largest and strongest supersonic parachute that was ever built to date. It has to be able to withstand 65,000 pounds of force, even though the parachute itself only weighs about 100 pounds.
When it opens up that fast, it's a neck-snapping 9 Gs.
At that point, we have to get that heat shield off. It's like a big lens cap blocking our view of the ground to the radar. The radar has to get just the right altitude and velocity measurements at just the right time for the rest of the landing sequence.
This big, huge parachute that we've got, it'll only slow us down to about 200 miles an hour. And that's not slow enough to land. So we have no choice, but we've got to cut it off and then come down in rockets. Once we turn those rocket motors on, if we don't do something, we're just going to smack right back into the parachute. So the first thing we do is make this really radical divert. We fly off to the side,
diverting away from the parachute, killing our horizontal velocity and our vertical velocity, getting the rover moving straight up and down so it can look at the surface with its radar, see where we're going to land, and we head straight down to the bottom of a crater, right beside a 6-kilometer high mountain. Anyway, or a spider, very, very low. You tended to crush the propulsion system on the rock.